9 days in a row of doing a little something every day. Today I have this little GE Spacemaker Kitchen Radio and cassette player. This is made to be mounted under a kitchen cabinet using these mounting posts right here. The radio works great and the speaker sounds pretty good too. The cassette player works, but it sounds a little muffled, so we're going to give this thing a cleaning. We're going to pop it open and see if maybe trying to clean the playhead helps the cassette player sound better. But even if it doesn't, I'm pretty interested in just having this as a radio in the kitchen. It'll be good for when I'm washing dishes or when I set up my photo darkroom stuff to just have something playing in the background. So we'll do the cleaning and then we'll get it mounted. Here's the unit plugged in. It has an on-off button for the radio, and then a pretty interesting cassette mechanism where just pop your cassette in that door right there, and it has this three-way button to both play, fast forward, or eject. So let me pop in a cassette tape. Okay, I got a handful of cassettes right here to test with, but we'll just grab this one. Let's just give it a try. I think it's playing. Let's try fast forwarding. Okay, I don't know if you heard that. It's going. It's doing weird things. So let's definitely. Okay, I think we're going to pop this open and give it a cleaning and see if we can get that cassette player working. If not, that's okay. I've got the top taken off and I've figured out our problem and also created some new ones. Have you ever been doing something and just been both impatient and clumsy? Well, I sent a bunch of parts flying when the top of the case snapped off. Of all the stuff that went flying, I lost this volume knob. I had to search all over the living room to find it. It was under the couch, but I did find it. And I also foolishly and unfortunately broke off this tiny little piece off of this switch right here, which I think switches between AM and FM. But at least I have it, and I think I can maybe just, hopefully I can super glue it back on, although that might seize up the whole switch, so I don't know. I think we can fix it. But let's talk about the actual problem. So I mentioned the playback head, and I don't know if I have a good angle on it right here, but the playback head is just tucked in right there. So right there is the playback head, and when the cassette is put into the slot, this playback head gets moved into position, which is all well and good, but it looks like this playback head is not mounted correctly and is at a diagonal, and I think it needs to be straight. So I think we're going to have to remove these circuit boards, and then I think we'll be able to fix how that playback head is mounted, and then that should allow it to engage with the cassette correctly, and then we should be able to get good sound. I see this little fork right here that's attached to the playback head, and I think it's supposed to be mounted under this, and then that should hold the head in the correct position. This right here is a little spring, but there's no screw to hold it down. And so I was wondering where the screw was, and I was wondering if we'd have to go like find one or scavenge one, but it turns out that the screw got stuck to the magnet of the speaker, fortunately, so that saved the day for us. And now begins the very surgical reassembly. So I need to grab this little spring. Okay, so we're going to move this fork over right here. Get it into position as best as we can. That's good. I'm going to use this toothpick to position this spring. Actually, maybe we need to make the spring and the screw kind of one unit. Wow, the placement is miraculous. Now I just need to not mess it up with the screwdriver. Okay, I think it's working. No, why is it not screwing in? What I ended up determining was that the spring actually goes under this fork. Let's see. I mean, that snaps right in place. I reckon I should plug it in and test it if I can. Okay, it's on. So I'm just going to clean the head and then put it all back together. I'm going to glue that switch back together, but I'll probably do it in a horrible way, so I don't want to show how I do it. I'll be back with a fixed tape player. Alright, I managed to get it all back together. I also managed to glue that switch tip back on without ruining the switch. So we should be able to just put the knobs back on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of paper on top of this and kind of line it up with the edges. And I'm going to try and make a drilling template. So I'm feeling for where these holes are, and I'm just pressing them in so I can kind of mark where they're at. Cool, so now I can see where they're at. So I'm kind of tracing where those lines are. It's almost like making a crayon rubbing. Trying to get sort of the texture of where the mounting holes are. So I lined it with this edge and this edge, but the paper is too long, so I'm also just going to make a crease right there. Okay, so now I have a drilling template. So I want to mount the radio under this cabinet right here. And what works out really nice is my drill template that I just made fits perfectly on this inside cabinet. So I've got it sitting right here, but I'm going to tape it down. Centered, and then I'll tape it down. I also need to countersink these. Now I'm getting it all screwed into place. Well, I think this came out really sweet. Thanks for watching. Bye!